guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and this is the first layout I'm making with my How to Kill a Kit with Style this month. And I know I've done this at the end of a kit, kind of showing you how I like to finish up killing a kit, but I don't think I've ever done one in the beginning of the month showing you how I like to start out using my kit. So for this first page, I just kind of wanted to walk you through what I think about when I'm selecting products and things I do with my kit before I even get started that help me along the way. So especially with Felicity Jane, they always have these beautiful branding strips. So one of the first thing I like to do is cut all the branding strips off of the 12x12s so that I go ahead, I have them ready to use. I love using these as border strips. I like using them, especially the scallopy ones at the bottom of clusters, and I just like having them available from the very beginning. So I went ahead and trimmed all of them, and then you can see the pieces that are more decorative. I went ahead and trimmed out the scallops, that way it's ready to use. The solid papers in Felicity Jane also have a scallop on the bottom of them, but I didn't trim these branding strips off in case I want this as a part of the solid. So I left these attached. But I went ahead and trimmed all of those. I like to do that first thing. And even this little info sheet that comes in the beginning, kind of showing you all the papers, I went ahead and trimmed the scallop on here too. I like using these as well during the month. So, and even this dot across the top I could have trimmed off, but for now I'm gonna keep it attached. But I went ahead and did that. That way, like, these scallopy pieces are ready. If I just needed a little pop of yellow, I could trim that piece out and use it. So that's kind of what I like to do with the paper. And then I like to go ahead and put all of my embellishment together. That way, when I'm starting, it's all ready. So when I go in to do my first page, I pretty much just figure out what photo I want to use. I remember when I went through and opened this, there were some pumpkin pieces, and I had this photo from when we went to the pumpkin patch. So I wanna go ahead and scrapbook this one. The colors obviously go perfect with this collection. It's a fall collection and they have pumpkins. So I'm just gonna start pulling out the products I think I'll use to scrapbook this, and then I'll set everything else aside. So I wanna go through the ephemera really quick and just kind of pull out what I think I'll use. I definitely wanna pull out the pumpkins, and it kind of depends on what paper I decide to go with, what I want to accent, but I'm thinking some orange bits will be nice, maybe the orange photo corners. And you don't have to restrict yourself when you do this. If you don't pull out something and you want to end up going back and getting it, obviously you can go back and get whatever you want, but I just figured I'd go through really quick. I love these little hearts and I definitely want to get them used up, but I don't know what color I'll want to accent yet. So I'll leave them in here until I know. I'm thinking I won't really pull in the pinks because it is more orange that I want to accent. I don't mind a little bit of yellow, but I think on this one I'm definitely wanting to pull in more of the oranges, and I don't think I'll use Molly on this page either. I'll leave the leaves out, the little black ticket. I'll pull Molly out just in case. Some black. I really like, this is another thing, since I already know I'm using the pumpkins on here, whatever colors the pumpkins are, I know I can definitely pull in. So right away I'm seeing I'm probably not gonna use any of the pink. So right away I can kind of keep all the pink things in the bucket. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the yellow and the blue hearts out. And I think I'm going to keep all the florals put away too, since I am pulling in the pumpkin. I'll use like the little spriggy ones, but the ones with actual flowers I won't. All right. So there's all of that. That's a floral frame. There's orange, black and white, pink, aqua, black and white. So I'm gonna have a lot set out, and I obviously am not trying to use all of this. This one is aqua, but it says home, and I'm not at home, so I don't know if I'll use this, but I'm looking at all the pictures I have to scrap this month, and none of them I'm at home. So I don't know when I'm gonna use this. I'll get it on one page, but I'm not gonna use it on this one, even though it is aqua. Okay, so the tags, A wreath could be nice. It's a very autumnal wreath and there's no pink in it. The floral I'm gonna put back black and white, yellow, black and white. Oh, I love this cute little acorn. This has pink in it, but it is very fall, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and just say anything with pink I'm not gonna use, just to narrow down my options. Floral, orange, black and white, aqua. This has pink in it. It's yellow, pink, yellow. So what this does, it just kind of narrows down. I know I still have a lot pulled out, but it just narrows down so I don't have as much to look at. Just taking all of the pink and the floral out of the equation goes ahead and narrows down what I'm looking at. So that's kind of what I like to start with. And then anything I kind of decide I don't want to use as I go, I can go ahead and put back as well. That way I have even less to look at. If I really decided not to do yellow, I could just take all the mustard away and just focus on the orange and the blue. And I might even do that depending on when we get started, because I really like a concept of keeping it orange and blue. So when I start this process video, once I get going, you might see me throw all the mustard back in the jar. Actually, I'm gonna do it right now just so I can see what I have to look at. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the yellow out and just see what it looks like color-wise. Because if I find that really inspiring, then I narrow down even more what I want to use. And like I said, all the pictures I'm using this month are fall, so I can still get a pumpkin on one of these other pages. But I definitely want to use this stack of pumpkins for the pumpkin patch picture. There's no yellow in the frames. There's yellow on that tag. I might still use the wreath, so I'm going to leave that tag. I'll go ahead and throw the mustard there. So taking out all the mustard, it kind of even helps me narrow down even more the look I want for this page. So I like that. I like the orange and the aqua's looking really cute. So I'm gonna go and throw the mustard back with all of the pink stuff. And that way I can set this aside, and then all of this stuff I'm not looking at during this process. And then off to the side, I obviously have the rest of my kit. I have these octagon, or hexagon, I guess. How many sides are on this? 3. It's hexagons, guys. Oh my goodness. Hexagons I can pull in later. I have my stamps and my alpha, but I'm gonna still keep these set aside because I can see them. But yeah, so this is what I'm looking like. And now that I kind of have the vibe I'm going for, I can kind of look, and I'll even do it with my branding strips, like black and white, orange. Might use this. There's pink in it though. I'll keep it in for now. Same with the hearts. I can use sections that don't have pink in it. For now, I'll leave it out. But again, I'll set these aside so I have less to look at. There we go. Stuff with the pink. I'll go ahead and pull it. I just have less to look at. I'm at the beginning of the month, so I know I have plenty of time to use this stuff. I'm just gonna go and pull everything with pink out. So I have those 2 branding strips to work with. I'm gonna keep this little section out because I can just take bits and pieces of what I need. Okay, so as far as my background, when I start using Felicity Jane, the very first layout, I really wanna try and just use 1 12 by 12. If 2 max. But looking at this, I'm definitely not going to use the pink, the mustard, or this fall pattern, which would look super cute with this, but I'm going with the aqua and orange. So now that I've kind of narrowed it down, I can kind of look. I don't want to use a solid as a background because I really want to use these as layers this month, but I can pull it in as a layer on this page. So I have that. Love the wood grain, but again, I think I'm going to want to use it in a lot of layers and not as a solid background. So I'm thinking the aqua would be a really nice background because it's not near as busy as this one. I like the contrast with there being orange in the photo and not a lot of blue, having it on the aqua, because that gives me a lot of contrast. And now right away with the aqua background, I'm seeing, oh, this branding strip would look really nice on here. Like even if I use these together. and kind of did a border strip like that to start off my cluster with my photo. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I love that. And then I'm thinking I can use these. The only thing with using the aqua background now is the aqua pieces I have will really blend in. And I kind of want to go for the contrast. So I just don't know about these yet, unless like it would look cute maybe if I did the orange frame over the aqua and trim the aqua so the aqua is not running onto the same color. That could be cute. So I'm just gonna start compiling. This is another thing I like to do that I actually didn't do when I did my prep. Things like this on the pocket cards, I like to go ahead and fussy cut and keep them with my ephemera stuff. So I might do that with this, I'm not quite sure. The acorn is adorable, but it will go with the rest of my photos this month, and I kind of wanna stick with the pumpkin being the main motif. So I don't know if I'll use the acorn or not, but I love that. I love this block of orange I can use in layers. Let's see what else I have. I want a tag, I think, to add some more texture in another layer. The wreath's gonna end up getting covered up. And I think, I don't know if it matters which one I'm going to do necessarily, because even if it runs into the background, I can add a doily or something behind it. But that being said, I think no matter what I add, the black and white's gonna hold up better to all of these layers. And I like that it ties in the black from the branding strip. So I'm just playing here. I don't even know if this will end up being what this page looks like, but just so you can see, like, just right off the rip, when I start looking at a collection, what my brain starts doing. And even from here, it's like I have my main cluster here. I can use fall as the title if I wanted to, but having this main cluster here, I'm like, okay, where else would I need embellishment then? So naturally I would want to go like up here and do a mini cluster, or if I pull this down or more towards the middle, I could have another one here type of thing. So that's when I go back to what ephemera do I have over here. I have 2 aqua hearts, so I could either incorporate one of these hearts in this cluster and then use this in the complementary cluster if I'm only gonna have 2. If I'm gonna have 3 clusters to create a visual triangle, then I might be, okay, this is the main cool element for this cluster. I'm gonna use these in my other 2 clusters, just so you have an interesting thing in all 3 of them. And then from here, you just kind of add whatever to beef it out type of thing. And that's just how I like to work with my collections. When I first start, this is just what I like to do. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera to fast forward and start with my process. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if I'll keep rolling with this, but that's just how I go from a full kit of products that can be overwhelming to narrowing it down and getting started. And I'm really liking the aqua and orange color scheme, so I'll definitely keep going with that, but we will see what I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward now. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I'm right away taking away that orange stripe paper. It's an orange and pink stripe, which I didn't notice right away, but since we're not doing pink, I went ahead and removed that orange paper, and then I went ahead and removed the solid. I'm really liking how the aqua is looking with the wood grain, so I think I'm just going to roll with that. Even how you can see it now, I just like that edge of the wood grain showing around the aqua, and I really think it helps tie into the rustic part of the photo. Like I said, I really want to have this wood grain to use in layers throughout the month, and since I'm only using such a small frame around the aqua background, I get to gut a massive portion of this dark wood grain to carry through to other pages. But I really like having that extra detail. I kind of felt like the aqua background by itself looked a little bit too plain, and having this wood grain around the edge, I think, adds such a huge difference. And I think having that warm brown helps it feel really cozy. Sometimes the aqua can read a little cold, and one of my favorite things about fall is that kind of cozy feel you get. So adding a warmer wood grain helps with that. Also, the boots in the picture are brown. This rustic truck kind of has those brown elements, so I want to tie that dark wood grain in that way. So I'm going to go ahead and get my background situated. You can see that massive chunk I gutted from the middle of that wood grain, and now I am matting the aqua onto that. I felt like it would add a little bit of interest to round the corners on the aqua, so I just took my little Becky Higgins corner rounder and did that. And now my background is glued back down. And now I'm just pulling in a couple extra layery details because I know I'm not wanting to pull in any more paper from the collection. I'm trying to see what other things I have at my disposal to layer with. And I always save Felicity Jane's tissue paper, but I'm really bad about actually using it. So I decided to use the Felicity Jane scallop tissue paper that comes in the box when it's shipped as one of my layers. And I think that adds so much fun texture. It's still light and airy, but it gives you that decorative border, and then the black polka dots tie into the other black elements I'm already using. So I think that's really fun. And then I went ahead and pulled in glassine bags and doilies. That's always an extra fun thing to pull in from my stash when I use Felicity Jane. It just adds the perfect little layering extra touch. So that helps in a big way when you're really trying to stretch Felicity Jane products, is pulling in simple basic things from your stash like that to really beef out what you have. But I liked where I was going design wise with this, and so I'm really kind of carrying on that same theme. I'm trying to incorporate those aqua hearts, and I decided I would go ahead and keep the visual triangle idea. So I'm going to have the stack of pumpkins next to that fall title, and then I wanted my two little aqua hearts to be on opposite corners just to create that balance and have that texture on opposite ends of the page. So since now the larger aqua heart is to the right of the photo, I decided that third cluster would be in the upper left-hand corner instead, and I really like that. I think it creates a lot of balance right away. I know I need more in the upper left-hand corner for that cluster, but for now, I'm just going to focus on the area around my photo, and then once I kind of figure out design-wise what I'm doing here, I can incorporate some of the other elements into that tiny cluster up in the corner. But I liked how this looked with that black and white check tag. I'm adding a glassine bag behind that, and then I'll also add a doily behind that once you get going a little bit more. But I went ahead and used the fall and trimmed it out so the frame goes all the way around it. I really like how that looks. And I went ahead and glued the branding strips together. I really liked how those look paired up. So now that I kind of have the area that's going to be covering the background, I'm going to gut the part of the aqua background that I can. This is Felicity Jane, and I want to gut and save and stretch as much as possible this month, so I'm saving that little section here. So you can really see how much I saved from this layout. Even though I used 12 by 12s, I'm pretty sure like a 10 by 10 piece of that warm wood grain, and then that chunk there I just saved from the aqua. So I'll have that you'll see on future layouts come back in and be used and recycled. And then now that I have that whole kind of backed again, I can go back to putting my clusters down. I definitely want to glue down these felt, or I guess they're corduroy hearts, I'm pretty sure. And I'm using my Tombow Mono multi-glue to glue those down because that glue is really strong and sticky, so I know they're not going to fall off. And while that glue is getting tacky, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of place the things that I already knew I was going to have back down. So here's that doily I decided to add to that top cluster, which I think adds a nice textural layery element. So I'm going to tuck that down behind there. I definitely need to thread this tag. My knee-jerk reaction is to do black and white twine to go with this black and white theme, but I loved that it incorporated the tissue paper from the packaging, and you also get a nice chunk of this beautiful 1-inch black satin ribbon with your Felicity Jane kits as well. So I decided to pull in some of that black ribbon instead of twine to thread through the tag, and I think it looks so bold and lush, and I just like how that looks. It just makes such a fun statement, as opposed to the twine, which would be more kind of simplistic and dainty. But yeah, right now I'm pretty much just trying to stick things back down where I had them. I think I glued down the one blue heart. The other blue heart, I need to figure out what I'm doing with the rest of this cluster. So I did gut the black and white gingham tag, what was going to be tucked behind the photo. So I still have that chunk there, and I decided I would recycle that into a banner to be the base for my cluster up there. And I really love that because it brings that gingham into two areas. It brings that black and white element to the top, which it was kind of missing, and it gives me a nice base to then build my layers, and I really like what that does. So that's going to be the base, and now that I have an aqua heart, I really want to pull in an orange element. I'm really trying to pair the orange and the aqua through this whole page. So I have that little orange label. So I'm planning on those being layered up, but it kind of looked too plain, and I still had a little piece of the branding strip border that I trimmed from the bottom because I didn't really want it to run edge to edge. So I ended up using the little scrap I did have of that up in that cluster as well, and I really like how that balances that pattern and that texture up there too. So really happy with how this page is coming together. It really helped that I did so much of it kind of in the beginning when I was talking to you guys, because that was really the bulk of my process. Once I turned the camera on to actually create it, I kind of just kept rolling with what I did. So there wasn't too much more to do. This is where I tied the Felicity Jane black ribbon through the tag. I love how that looks. It looks so bold and pretty. I just like that extra texture. And so now that that's down, I'm kind of looking at finishing touches already. So I have this sheet of hexagons that has 6 sides. I realize I said 3, but it's because I counted 3 in my head, and I was like, right, that's halfway around, so there's 6, so it's a hexagon. I realized the hexagon does not have 3 sides. But anyways, I wanted to pair up the orange and the aqua again, so I'm just sprinkling them around the page, kind of like I would enamel dots or brads or, you know, whatever. So I kind of like that, and then I really wanted to incorporate the stamp set on this page as well. So I'm using my little We Are Memory Keepers stamping platform that Ronnie sent me, and I love it. It has been an absolute game changer with me feeling more comfortable stamping on my layouts. It's just been amazing. I love this thing and I'm hoping to use it a lot this month since I have this stamp set from this collection to use. So I'm just adding a couple stamps. I'm having one at the top that says Fall Favorites and one at the bottom that says #blessed, but I like that extra text, that extra pop of black, and that stamping platform makes it look so crisp. I only needed to stamp once, but what I like about the stamping platform is if your stamp is a little not crisp, you can re-ink it and re-stamp it, and that stamping platform will make sure it goes in the exact same place so that it doesn't turn out messy. But actually those stamps both turned out beautiful the first try, and now I'm doing a little bit of journaling before I wrap it up. So my journaling just says Sleepy Hollow Farm with Mom and Becca, Bennett and Avery for some pumpkins, and petting zoo. There's going to be a lot more pictures in Avery's album from this event, but for me, I just wanted to document the one photo I had of me. So here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next process video. Bye.